That's pretty good.
Did not see that coming.
Indeed. Dennis, my man, it's been 2 weeks because you bailed on me last week.
I know.
What the hell, man?
It's quite a story. My significant other of some 46, 7 years or whatever it is.
Your lovely bride.
Yes, is on the phone with someone. And as she's on the phone, her bad knee, which had a venous eruption of one kind, earlier last week.
Say what?
Made a big popping sound.
Oh,
and
geez.
she couldn't put any weight on it. And guess who she was on the phone with when it happened?
The ER doctor.
Her doctor. Just happened to be on the phone with her doctor when this happened.
Is that a thing that
in.
do old people just like call up your doctor in the evening to?
Well, it was about her vein and how it was hurting, and she was on crutches and how it was hurting. And so this is why I love her. So I came up the stairs just at that moment, all prepared, having done my research for the podcast, beer in hand, etc.
Indeed, yes.
And come upstairs, and she said, "Oh, my husband's here. Oh, well, maybe he can help me." And then she looks at me. She says, "Oh, you can't help me. You have a podcast tonight."
That's my girl. Yes. Priorities.
Yeah, I said, "Oh well." I said, "Well, so what happened?" I got a minute. What happened? And she tells me, and she says it popped. And I said, "Well, could be a tendon, could be something." And when she went to put weight on it,
Could be popcorn.
she screamed. And she has a very high tolerance for pain, as most women do.
Especially married to you.
I just canceled, and I was in the ER with her for 2.5 hours, whatever. And they said, "Well, you got a hurt leg. It's not a broken bone."
I think you got a hurt leg, miss.
And we're going to do rice. We're going to rest it. We're going to ice it. We're going to compress it. And we're going to
I swear,
elevate it.
So much of going to the doctor is to be told the obvious. I don't want to diminish the profession.
It's to rule out. It's to rule out. It's not to figure out.
Right. Exactly. It's to rule out. Oh my God! Is this knee cancer? So
through your lens of your state-sponsored healthcare in Spain.
Yes.
Here's the next bit. So you don't have a broken bone. We took an X-ray, and what you really need is a MRI. MRI. But we can't do that for 5 to 7 days until you try rice. And after that, if it still hurts, then we'll do an MRI. And I thought to myself, I didn't say it to the doctor. I thought, so you don't know what's wrong. And one way you're going to rule it out is keep her in an unknown state for 7 to 10 days. And knowing that something popped, that isn't a maybe, it's a yes, something popped. Therefore, of course, an MRI will be needed because, of course, it won't heal. Something popped. Something ripped. Something popped. It's for insurance, man. Period.
Well, it's for insurance, but also, I think the majority of cases where people go to the doctor, this is going to sound however it sounds. I think a lot of times going home and resting cures it.
Yes, but I think you're right.
But there are cases where, like, there was the time that my wife sprained her ankle, and she went to this guy that was all into not acupuncture, but the stuff that like energy flows through your spine and shit. Kineta something or other, and like she was like, I sprained my ankle, and my cousin came to you and you sort of helped him with his ankle, and the doctor was like, all right, take your shirt off. And it was like, wait a second, like if like there are cases where there are, for sure, I totally accept that there are cases of nerve shit where your foot hurts and massaging between your shoulder blades might actually fix it because the nerve is passing through there. But if you actually sprained your ankle and you know the inciting incident, or you heard your fucking knee pop, then let's not beat around the bush around maybe it'll just solve itself.
Well, a sprained ankle I'm not sure that's the best example, because a sprained ankle is so common. And the fact is that once it's confirmed as a sprained ankle, the treatment is in fact rice.
Exactly. Yes.
And plus, one might add, I would say stay off of it completely. And when a doctor says stay off of it as much as you can, that is a license not to stay off of it.
Right.
The doctor should never say that. The doctor should say you have to completely stay off it. And to the extent that you can't do that, know that your healing process is going to take longer. It's up to you.
Right.
Not, well, you can stand on it, on your ankle, whatever, if there's no pain. Nonsense. I don't feel pain because I have a low pain threshold. I don't care that much. It doesn't bother me. It's just a little pain. No, do not stand on it. I don't know why the medical profession has to equivocate.
And what an amazing miracle cure this silly acronym is. Like it works. When I was the most hurt I've ever been, I think was 7 or 8 years ago when I was walking and I slammed my leg into a bollard.
A bollard?
A bollard, a post.
A bollard?
A bollard.
Where the hell are you from, boy?
It's a bollard. It's like bollard greens.
Before I forget, you're going to be in the States end of July.
I am.
You are?
I am. All of July, really.
Huh.
So,
okay, go on. Sorry,
anyway,
you hit a bollard.
Get into your account. So I was walking and talking to, and I was turned behind me talking to a friend, and I just walked into a post, and
I did that with my car once.
But it was right above the knee where I hit, and it was like, God, that hurts. But then I went for a walk for another hour. I had my young daughter with me, and we walked around, and because it's in Spain, I went to sit down and have a glass of beer somewhere, and when I tried to get up from sitting down for 15 minutes, I was like, oh shit, I can't walk.
I dislocated my knee, and the same thing happened. I could walk. Same thing.
It wasn't dislocated. It was totally muscular. But I went home and my leg was just like all the blood. Anyway, it was really bad, and it was really, really painful. And I had to spend, I think I spent like 4 weeks on the living on the sofa.
Yeah.
I could get up with a chair to make it to the bathroom, but then I had to come back and just lie on the sofa. Yeah, and right. I watched so much TV and movies. But anyway,
and I'll tell you, when you talk about the rice thing,
yeah.
When I had my surgery, my manipulation under anesthesia, my MUA, twice on my shoulder.
Manipulation under anesthesia. That sounds like a euphemism for.
You should take a look at a video. They knock you out, and then because your shoulder can't move because it's stuck, it's called frozen shoulder. It won't move. The ball joint is stuck.
They just fuck with you.
The ball joint has got all sorts of scuffs on it, and and it just you hurt it, so you don't use it, and then it freezes.
Do they knock you out and then they just Ken doll you all around?
They force it. Yes.
Oh Jesus.
They force it, and before they do it, they do an ultrasound and find this perfect place where all your nerves crisscross. They put a shot there, right here in your chest, and everything from here on is dead to the world. And it's your arm, in fact, feels like literally a piece of hanging dead meat.
So you're conscious. You're conscious, but they're.
Oh no! Afterwards, when you were in recovery,
yeah.
They give you the shot. You're numb. You're not going to be swinging your arm around because they're wheeling you into the operating room.
Sure.
And but they had to do it twice. But here's my point: the machine they gave me was a cooler that worked like a in-out vacuum, a double vacuum. So in the cooler was ice water that you had to replenish occasionally with ice, and one pump pumped it into a sleeve that you velcroed around your shoulder, your arm, and your chest, and it was full of tubes, tubes where the ice water flushed through it, moving, and then emptied back into the cooler with another tube, and it circulated ice cold water 24 hours a day, 3 months.
3 months?
3 months in a chair for 3 months.
You were in a chair for 3 months?
Yes, slept in a chair for 3 months. And after about a month,
I was impressed with
recovery was
4 weeks.
From talking to your dad about shoulders, because he knows a lot about it, is there's a pulley system that they use where you use your good hand on a pulley, use your good arm to pull up your bad arm. And and you just do this up and down until you get range of motion. When you go to the so that's the ice, the RICE. Whoa.
I have a question. Did you pay attention to the doctor, or did you give them the cold shoulder?
I did pay attention to the doctor, and I tried to give him the cold shoulder. But remember, this is the guy, you know the story, where he's a rabid U of M fan. Go Blue. And I, of course, am a rabid Michigan State fan. And we're always arguing sports, talking sports. And like all U of M fans, nothing surprises them. Nothing is ever wrong. They're having a losing season, and they say, yeah, we knew it was rebuilding this year. You know, their coach is flailing and this and that. They say, well, you know, we knew he'd be temper. I mean, it's like this kind of thing. He's got me doing the frozen shoulder routine, which includes me on my stomach, him with my arm behind my back, straight up in the air. Are you with me? On my stomach, arm straight up in the air.
Although if someone wanted to see the video of Dennis doing this.
Forward, toward my head and even past my head, because I've had the surgery, and now I got to make sure that the range of motion every day increases. How do you know that it increases? You go
measurement.
What?
Measurement.
It's more by feel and sight on his part, not measurement. But yes, it's a
all the science shit.
For his. It's an interpretive measurement, you know, on his part. And I'm sure he's accurate. But the other way he knows is that when he goes as far as it'll go, and he says to you, let me know when it hurts, he stops. And then he goes a little bit further. Then the second time he comes up, he doesn't ask you, because now he knows that you're going to make a noise. And what you say is, oh, fuck, because he's pushing past the point.
Right.
He got me in the pain position, and he said to me, Dennis, say go blue.
God damn it. Fucking cat.
Say go blue.
Hold on.
Say go blue. And he was like the evil U of M fan, say go blue. And when I wouldn't say it, he pushed it further and further until I finally said, go blue, you son of a bitch. And loud enough for everybody. There were 2 or 3 other patients in the room, in the area, you know.
Yeah.
And
you got attacked by a Wolverine.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. But when I was alone and he left me, much to his chagrin, I said to the other patients out loud from my little area, hope none of you are State fans. He's going to hurt you just like he hurt me. And he did not like me doing that. I thought, yeah, right.
Michigan State are Spartans, is that correct?
Yes.
Wow, amazing memory. Thank you.
One of the top recruiting classes in the nation this year.
Well done,
basketball, by the way. Yeah.
So
let's catch up with Barry.
Barry is interesting. I watched last week when it was last week, and then I watched this week when it was this week. But then, in preparation, doing super amazing homework, I watched most of both of them again.
Oh, wow.
As well as having listened to the podcast about it. So,
getting dark.
Rest in peace, Cristobal. Yeah.
Cristobal.
And it was so in the previous episode where Sally is teaching her class for the first time, and
her student. Oh, yeah, it is a class. Right.
Yeah,
right.
I appreciated how they brought in this more modern wokeism, sort of like, you can't yell at your student like that.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's abuse.
Right.
And how the whole class just sort of left. But
the student was appreciative and said it's the first time. That was the next episode, right?
Well, in that episode, the whole class left, and the one student was there, and she was like, "This is the first. I've been to 3 acting classes, and this is the first one that anyone has ever like gotten anything out of me." But I've noticed a really strange thing. This is never the first time this has happened to me. In the acting class, there is one student in the acting class that I recognize because she is one of the only people, like when I was checking out TikTok, the app, let's see, like a year or two ago when TikTok was becoming a thing, I opened it and I was amused by some people, but this one particular person that was doing like celebrity accents.
Oh yes,
I thought was really interesting.
Was she doing? Was she mouthing?
No. No. You're thinking of the woman that got really famous doing Trump.
Lip syncing.
Lip syncing to Trump. No, this is a voice actress that does celebrity stuff, but like she contorts her face in a way that makes her look like Ellen DeGeneres or Jack Nicholson or
Jack Nicklaus, right? She must have looked like a golfer,
right? So
she was in the class.
So I haven't opened TikTok in several months, but I remember she was one of the ones that I followed, and I've since like followed her on other platforms because she's entertaining. She does Winona Ryder and Julia Roberts and those sort of impressions. And she was one of the ones in the class that actually had some lines, and I was like, "That's not the one I know from TikTok." And sure enough, I looked it up, and she
sure
actually
enough.
But
sure enough. Well, that's cool. So the thing that strikes me about this episode, now that Hader's directing all of them, is that how it's moved from quite violent, ultra violent, to like longer scenes of violence. The beating of what's his name, Fuchs,
yeah,
went on for a really long time, and then they showed the warden stepping on his hand again and again.
Well, and then there was a bunch of other scenes where he was off camera, screaming in pain.
Yeah. And so did it end with finally? We hadn't seen Barry since the escape from prison after he killed the assassin.
And the assassin scene.
Oh my God!
According to Hader, like he had been looking for a Fred Armisen shaped hole in his
he
work
found
the whole
it.
time, and he said that Fred Armisen was so excited to, like, apparently Fred texted Bill on the day saying they're making a fake hand for me to explode. I was just so excited.
Yeah.
And just only in Barry can you have a scene like that particular one.
Well, this is a noteworthy bit of writing that I thought was so wonderful and so insightful to Barry and his skill set, is that while Fred's character just started to make a face, meaning something was out of kilter, Barry looked at the other guys and said, "He's here to kill me."
Right.
He's here to kill me.
And they didn't know that they only had seconds to live, but
the jolting mass murder, since there were more than, I guess it was a mass execution, was so violent and quick, where the people were exploding backwards with gunshots to the head, and Barry reacting in just such a military way with aim and shoot, bam, 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 and the guy falls from the ceiling. I was very intrigued by how they just kept building. Where's Barry? Where's Barry?
And they left it the entire next episode because we knew that Barry disappeared, and then the entire episode there was no Barry.
Right. Right. And Mr. Cosino, oh my God, we don't know whether he killed his son. We just know he shot him.
So that was his son.
Yes.
They came to the door.
Because he said to his son, will you stay with me? And his son said, "No, I can't stay with you." And he said,
No. That wasn't the same. That wasn't the same guy.
Yes,
this was like a delivery boy or something.
No, it's his son, bro. I saw it twice.
The guy who he said, "Would you please stay with me?"
That was his son, who dropped him off.
And then it was like, "No, I won't." And then when he got down and he had cell coverage, and raced back up to.
No, the
guy that dropped him off told him, "Hey, Barry's out," or something. I don't know.
Well, the guy who called at the bottom of the hill with coverage was the guy who dropped him off.
Right. That
and
wasn't
telling him that Barry was free. But that's not his son. His son came up to say goodbye to him, or was in the scene somehow, and he said, "Will you stay with me?" And he said, "No." The son drove away. That set the stage for the son showing up later,
right.
because he obviously felt bad that his dad was alone. And I went back and watched it to make sure that it was his son.
Okay.
That it was. But we don't know if he killed him or not. But he's in the worst shape. He's going to get killed. Barry will kill him.
Yeah, I love that he has a gun from Rip Torn.
Rip Torn.
The actor named, we've talked about him before, has the most amazing actor name, Rip Torn.
Oh, right.
And somebody said, well, if you have a gun from him, they might be prop bullets. And somebody else said, no, if it's from Rip Torn, they're real fucking bullets.
Well, it's easy to mistake Stephen Root for
Rip Torn. Yes, agreed. Except that Rip Torn is no longer with us.
No, much longer will. Well, here's an interesting thing. Fuchs isn't turning on Barry.
No, according to Hader, when he had that call where he was talking to Hank, and Hank said, "It'll be over by the end of the day," or whatever. That and then through watching a little bit of Rain Man, like he felt he became a father figure for Barry, and then started freaking out. But
remember the great scene that I mentioned when Barry was having a memory a couple episodes ago. Barry was having a memory of when he was a kid, and the camera work and the
that went all the way from the desert to the.
He ran from his room, blurry into the past, into the desert, where Fuchs had identified him with the potential skill set of a murderer because he was playing army with some relish.
And we do need to talk about the final shot of the last episode, which is similar to that. But
that was with Sally. I thought the closing was Sally saying, "Let's go."
It was until it wasn't.
When they showed the dark room, I thought, are they finally going to show Barry? And my second thought was, no, they're not. They're not. They're going to let it build. And then when he came out, and what did he say? He said, I need some help. I just have to stay a couple of days. Can you help me? And she said, like, let's go. And the scene ended.
Which I loved, but you are forgetting about the actual thing after that, where they flashed forward to them as parents with a child.
With a child and a couple
in the desert.
Older.
Yeah, they're in the desert. The kid is fighting with a neighbor kid, and he's told to go home, and he goes home, and he gets a can of Bud Light out of the fridge to put on his forehead, and then older Barry is there saying, like, I'll go talk to him.
But that's obviously their future under witness protection.
That's the thought. That's entirely the implication.
But what you don't know, because of the screenwriting, whether or not that was something that Barry imagined, and whether we had a glimpse into one of his daydreams or his, wherever he goes when he has these strong visions. Usually, though, I think the record would show that he's unconscious when these things happen. He's been shot or beat or whatever, and these are the things that go through his mind. But
I have a complaint to lodge with you, a bone to pick, so to speak. I went back and I watched. So we're on what episode? We just watched 6 or something. 5
maybe.
So when we last recorded
the prison scene, yes.
We had just seen,
yes,
and you claimed.
Oh God!
Hold on. Allegedly,
you're building your case, counselor.
You said that when Sally and Barry were on different sides of the glass on the prison scene, that they had done something clever with.
It wasn't Sally.
Who was it? I think it was.
No, it wasn't Sally.
Whatever.
Right.
Prison glass inmate meeting thing.
And I said why it was weird was because when they were showing the listener, the voice you heard was not telephonic.
Yes.
It was the real voice because the camera was next to the speaker. The camera and the mic were next to the speaker.
No, but you claimed that they reversed it so that you could hear the person on the other side of the glass clearly and not.
No, I think you misunderstood. Of course, you have a tape of it. I suppose we could just run it backwards.
We could, but who would?
This is what you would have expected, is that when the camera is on, the person listening, the voice you hear through the telephone is not the real voice, it's the telephonic garbled voice. That's what you would expect.
No.
Yes. Of course you would.
No.
Okay, you watch. Okay, I'm going to make a bet with you. I'll make
Hold on. Well, you make your wager first.
What's that?
Look, when you're looking through the glass at the person,
Yes.
you're hearing the telephonic voice.
And this episode?
On all episodes.
Except
and when you're
Barry, which is what made it exceptional. That's my point. Thank you.
No, except that I went back and I looked and it wasn't the case.
Did you look at the one with Sally, not the one I'm talking about?
No, I looked at the one you were talking about. I specifically went back and I was like, is Dennis really this much of a genius? And it turns out
the question would be whether am I really that observant. Now I'm going to double down on this. I'm telling you that the scene that we discussed was that when the camera was shooting through the glass,
yes,
and you could see the recipient of the voice,
no, not the recipient of the voice, the person speaking.
When you were looking through the glass, and there was whoever the character was on the other side of the glass had a phone to their ear, that the sound you heard of the voice speaking was the real voice.
Of course, because you're on that side of the glass.
Yes, exactly.
As if you were observing, like
exactly.
As if you were standing on both sides.
Exactly.
And that's not clever.
Unusual.
It isn't.
I'm telling you, it's unusual. I'm challenging you to find one, any interview on any certainly any number of
movie, TV show, whatever. Yeah.
Right. When they're showing the person listening, the voice you hear is the voice they're hearing in their ear.
Okay, I thought you were making a more interesting observation. It's on me last time. I thought you were saying.
Well, you have high expectations.
I thought you were being more clever than you were. What I was observing is as if you were filming on each side of the glass.
Yes,
and I was like, that seems reasonable to me because that's how it feels.
My point. I'm challenging you to look at any other glass-to-glass prison, right? And this is my point. They're not like what we saw with Barry. They're certainly shooting the camera through the glass, but they're acting as if what you're hearing is the person's voice through the ear set. You don't hear their real voice. They're acting like they're not. They're acting like the camera isn't on the speaker side. They're acting like the camera is on the other side of the glass, even though we know it's not. There wouldn't be room for a camera there. That's what was unusual. That's what I'm telling you. This was unique. And I'm pretty sure of it.
Okay. I will need to do more research to disprove your theory. But I want to state that when I was so like, oh, that's such an amazing observation, I was misunderstanding. I thought you were saying that when they were on the other side, you were hearing them. I don't know. I've forgotten. But I will research this and I will write up a 12-page report and I will submit it for peer review.
Well, let's let the record reflect, and it'd be interesting to hear what I said, whether or not I'm accurate in what I was saying, or perhaps inarticulately so. But still, when you would hear it back and say, "Oh, well, you haven't edited that episode yet, or have you?"
No, it's out, and someone would have to go back and listen. But
yeah, I don't listen.
We'll leave it to anyone who wants.
So, little local news here.
Local news. We are officially in spring. It's May. It only snowed twice this week, so we know that the flurries twice this week. So we know that spring is here, and
we're looking for 60, 70 degree weather, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. I'm finishing up my handyman gigs, looking for the paychecks, waiting for my new contract to begin, and
Nice.
all is well. I've been playing some music past couple of weeks. I talk about that if you want. We also got to talk about Succession, which is, I will say this, that I've got 3 shows right now that I really look forward to. Waco Revisited, Waco Aftermath, which is a follow-up from the first season. And great actor who we love. We talked about all the time. He played George Jones in George and Tammy. We talked about his singing and his guitar playing and what's his name? Shit.
Yeah, I'll get to him in a second.
But he starred in Waco, and he's also now starring in Waco Aftermath. And I don't think we've talked about either one of these Wacos, have we? I binged the first one. It's if you want to know what kind of started the movement, the right-wing military movement.
Michael Shannon, I'm going to go.
Michael, yes. The what started the military movement? Go back to this Waco incident, and it's very difficult to watch. I will tell you that. It's expertly done. It's a marvelous series. I highly recommend it, but it's rough, particularly the ending, as you know what happened. But how it led to the Oklahoma bombing, directly related.
I'm vaguely familiar with how that led into, yes. And the whole, a militia movement of the Second Amendment craziness.
Well, yeah. And I had not made that connection, and I am so happy to get the sense of this. And I will tell you this, that because of the way Waco is factually displayed, you're rooting for the Branch Davidians. The bad guys are not the Branch Davidians. The bad guys are the FBI. US government.
Right.
They went in and they murdered 76 people, including 23 children. They murdered them. And how that unfolded and what happened. And what's fascinating about Waco, the Aftermath, is that it's a sequel, but it also includes long excerpts, prequel excerpts from before the Waco series began, which the Waco series began pretty much at the invasion. And the pre is when David was much younger and started becoming the prophet. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, I don't know what you know about this, but I'm highly recommending it. But that's another series I look forward to, along with Barry, of course, and Succession. I got to tell you, hands down, the one that I have to see immediately when it's out is Succession.
Yeah.
I am so thrilled with what they are doing. It's amazing shit.
It's my understanding that the creator of the show is sort of like in the way that what's the liberal guy that made Newsroom?
Jeff Bridges or no. Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, he's the actor, but I mean the Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that the guy that's making this series is doing a parody of capitalist bullshit, and wants it all to crash and burn. But yes, so haven't spoken.
Where you think it's heading now that the kids have control?
So we haven't spoken in 2 weeks. So there was the Norway episode,
which you sent me the restaurant. I was
like, we need to fucking go and go and have lunch at this restaurant because holy shit, what an amazing place.
So what's it cost? Did you get my note? When I opened up the menu, it had the cost of things, but they were in, foreign currency. And I wondered what a meal would cost in American dollars. Had to be hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, let's, patreon.com/happy hour. Let's go boost those numbers. Yeah, I didn't actually look into the details of that, but why should I? That episode was pretty amazing.
When Roman lost it with Mattson on the mountaintop,
yeah,
I thought it was one of the best insights into Roman's character that we've seen, where he had a look on his face that was like, fuck it, I'm going to fucking tell him what I think. And
I'm going to tell you it's a negotiating tactic, but really I'm just going to tell you the actual fucking truth.
Yeah. Well, and then, and of course, who's coming out on top is Shiv, I should say, who is interesting because she's so, one would say strategic or devious or whatever, that she keeps this to herself about her connection and downplays it with her brothers.
With Mattson.
But who does she not only tell, but who does she allow to observe a phone call with him? Is her new flame, Tom. Which makes me think that because the baby is not his, she needs to make that this baby has a father who is Tom. That's the play. She doesn't give any more shit about Tom than she ever did. It's just a play for her bastard child to have a father.
I like the way Mattson specifically said, I have boundary issues, and then went and shared with Shiv all this personal stuff.
About the blood?
About, yeah, I had this crush on this girl, and I started sending her my frozen blood because I thought that was romantic. And it's just like, man, he's just as fucked up as the Roys are, really.
Well, my insight into that scene when he was saying that he had this girl and he was giving her drugs, which was drops. I think it was liquid psilocybin.
Right.
That it was a scene showing these two relatively young people as if they were in high school. It was a girl. It was a boy.
Right.
They were, shy and talking to each other. I have boundary issues like I'm having right now with you, and you want some drugs, and yes.
Except they're fucking 40.
Yeah, well, younger than me. But how that unfolds, the interesting thing about Succession and the way they write the screenplays, remember the wonderful shit-eating grin that Kendall had in the taxi when he knew that he was going to sour the deal with Mattson to fuck over his father?
Yep.
And it was just a look. Shiv gave us one of those look at the closing moment of the last episode we saw. And the only person who saw that look was the viewer. Nobody in the room saw it. She's so keen on being able to keep this to herself and play her cards, and she's the insider. And Mattson offered her, he's keeping her on. She is the top insider. It doesn't matter what those men are doing. She's the one who he's listening to.
Yeah. Yeah. He's playing her to mess with them. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about mess with them, but he sees her as an honest broker. And he knows that her motivation of power, actually power over money, is huge, and knows that in fact it's power over her brothers. And he's using that, but he genuinely knows that she's got the best insights of anybody. I think you and I would agree that Kendall is so morally compromised and Roman is so fucking weird that by comparison, Shiv, who's an absolute narcissist,
right,
is normal by comparison. So you're like your father. You have a sense of humor and this and that, and the look on her face is like, that's the highest compliment anybody can give me.
I love the theory that I've heard. It's not mine. I won't claim it. That what the Roy kids love the most is being in this fucking series. being in this negotiating stuff. They don't want to run a company. They don't want to have, revenue and cost figures given to them. Like they love this power struggle of what
they love the process, not the product.
Exactly. They love this dance of I am powerful. Look at me. And make me an offer, and I might, entertain your offer.
Well, the interesting thing is that Kendall is showing himself to be between he and Roman, the leader. Roman bends for Kendall 100% of the time.
He bends
100% of the time. Another $500 million, sure. Let's scotch the deal, sure.
Okay.
And the one of the final scenes that we're looking forward to the next episode is someone saying, I'm not sure who it is, I think it's Shiv saying, good Lord, anything can happen up there. And we saw what happened actually because he killed it. But the episode before, the second episode, 2 episodes ago, they showed an ending of another look, which was the gleam in Kendall's eye. And Shiv saying he's got that look on his face. And that was the closing scene. And then he did his speech and he knocked it out of the ballpark and everybody thought so.
Yeah, that's like, I think that's what Kendall wants is what he received after that speech.
Yes.
Of everyone clapping and him being like,
Yes.
I am God, blah, 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 worship me. Like he wants that respect. And I don't know if he's ever going to get that again. And also,
well, that's an interesting point. Now, what we don't know, there's only a few episodes left. Are there 9? 3 more left?
I think 4 more.
4 more. Is whether or not we're seeing in these final days a new Kendall, or whether we see, as you just suggested, that it's the old Kendall and this is a brief moment in the sun. My guess is that Shiv will so thoroughly cut his throat that at the end of it, he may be out. And she will make, and one of the things that we know about Mattson, he's not going to keep Roman around.
Yeah. So this, what do we think the end of the season looks like? Like, let's make predictions. Is first
I think
of all,
it all blows up. I think it all blows up and they're poor. I think they lose everything.
Poor, like poor, or poor as in like they can't imagine not flying on private jets anymore.
Well, they're trying to kill the Mattson deal. The Mattson deal won't work. Mattson won't take over. Or if Mattson takes over, of course they can't be poor because they'll be filthy rich.
Right.
But if they keep the company and it goes under, they won't have wealth.
Well, in the way that these people
Well, what do they have?
fail.
The old man's got a house. All the other children live in apartments. I've never even
People
seen
really
them
go from that level of wealth down to
Yes,
working at a grocery store?
In my history, I have known millionaires who one day became not millionaires, and they weren't exactly poor because they still had a couple of airplanes and one house, but they were no longer millionaires because Madoff made off with their money.
Indeed.
He stole $324 million from them. And so it's not out of and there's stories. There's stories galore about people going from king to pauper.
Does Waco disappear?
You froze, man.
I'm here, man.
No sound. No picture.
I see you, man.
I can hear you.
All right,
There you are.
whatever. Does Waco disappear, or who ends up running it? Is it? Yeah,
What?
I don't know.
Waco.
That's the name of their company, right? Not a reference to
No,
your.
no, not Waco. Waco is the series in Texas about the government.
What's it fucking called?
Branch Davidians.
Waco.
Wacom. Waystar, of course.
Waystar Royco. Excuse me.
Yes.
Waco.
And didn't you know that our favorite actor would be back in a big way. And in fact, as Kendall puts him up on a 60-foot size screen, back from the dead.
I loved Greg's. No, you have to fucking make this edit happen. To the
Greg's learning, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah. Man, are all the siblings gonna be living at the end of the season, or is someone gonna get murdered?
No, they'll all be living.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
I'll be living. I think that we're in for a surprise. Here's another prediction. We're in for a surprise about Connor's role.
Yeah, Connor was absent for 2 episodes, more or less, and it could turn out that he is the next fucking president. And then what happens?
Now, the reason he's on the outside of that is because he has a different mother.
Indeed.
But that doesn't explain the business arrangement. Did he cash out early as a condition of cashing out early? He has nothing to do with the company. I think that's what happened. He cashed out early.
Could be, but he is not remotely worried about ever being poor. In the same way that, so like when you see Tom or Greg or any of the Carl, that level of people, they are more worried about money than the family ever is, because the family can't conceive of ever not having a private jet. Right. I don't know.
So your homework is Waco and Waco the Aftermath. There was something you sent me. What was the artwork you sent me?
That's what you get for hiring 2 dudes that do a podcast.
Right. From Barry, and I had responded with the next scene when the guy was forced to apologize for the ineptitude of the podcast killers.
Did you recognize the guy that the guy that I guess I sent you, and I was like,
the Russian, the oligarch.
Do you recognize him?
No.
Neither did I. That is multi-Oscar winner Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, the director.
The director. I had no idea. First, I had no idea that he was on the heavy side, because I've never actually seen him.
Oh, I saw him accept his award. He had real long. This was years ago. But anyway,
he's got like 4 Oscars or whatever.
I saw the credits. Now that it's the first time I've thought of it, is I saw the credits and I wondered where he was. And
apparently, according to Bill Hader, Guillermo del Toro ad-libbed the line where Hank said, "You know what I don't like about the podcast, where they're like testing gadgets, is that like it's a podcast, it's audio, and I can't see what's going on." And
Del Toro,
Del Toro, whose name in the show is El Toro, said, "Yeah, I mean, this is not TikTok. This is a podcast."
But then a moment later, he says you can see it on YouTube.
Yeah, he said there's a link you can click to on YouTube. And apparently, all that was ad libbed. Like that wasn't in the script. He just came up with
funny. That's funny. So, what else started last night? And after this bit, I got to go. I've been looking forward to the new HBO series called The Plumbers.
I was going to bring this up, the White House Plumbers.
So I saw the first episode.
Okay, I have not yet.
You did not see it?
I have not.
Okay, then I'm going to save it. But you remember what was the series when all the people disappeared? A lot of people disappeared.
Yes,
loved ones.
I know who you're talking about. You're talking about The Leftovers and Justin.
The Leftovers, and the star of that show. I haven't seen him in anything, and he plays Howard Hunt.
He's amazing. I love Justin Theroux.
Well, let me just give you a hint. You may say you used to.
Oh,
and of course, the star of it is also Woody Harrelson.
Woody freaking Harrelson, yeah.
Yeah, which I don't know if I've ever seen a Woody Harrelson in a series I didn't, or in a role that I didn't like, in acting I didn't like.
True.
Perhaps until now.
Ooh.
And
drop that hint.
Drop a few hints. Well, I'm going out in the sun, man.
So today here, it was a freakish 89 degrees.
Oh, man. Sunny?
Super sunny. Until, and so like, I was like, hey, let's all have dinner out on the porch. And I prepared everything. I set the table. And then right before dinner time, fucking wind blew up and like knocked all the placemats and silverware and shit off the table. And I was like, well, okay, whatever.
So much for that.
So,
and you littered half the town.
Story of my life.
Littered half the town.
No, it was all on my porch still.
So next week we're Tuesday.
Yes, we will discuss that and make it happen.
Ciao, baby.
Ciao, baby.
Out.
Okay, that's it for episode number 181. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/181, where I have included a few YouTube clips of other prison interviews to show that Dennis is exactly right the way they normally film those. So, there you go, Dennis. You can support the show at patreon.com/happyhour, and see you next week.